In the world of breakfast sandwiches, one icon reigns supreme. The Egg McMuffin. 1 part egg, sort of. 1 part, McMuffin? And 1 part pure Americana, which might be the stuff that makes the paper so greasy. For over 5 decades, this hot little hockey puck has gotten us through the morning with its savory, portable goodness, leading to the proliferation of drive-through breakfast menus and bringing out a golden age for early risers everywhere. So, today, we're serving up the sunrise with the history of the Egg McMuffin. But before we get started, be sure to subscribe to the Weird History Food channel. And let us know in the comments below what other classic breakfast entrees you would like to hear about. Okay, time to get McMoving. Though breads, cheeses, eggs, and smoked meats have all been part of a hearty breakfast for hundreds of years, and sandwiches have been around since the 1700s, it took a depressingly long time before anyone put 2 and 2 together and made the first ever breakfast sandwich. While today it's unclear exactly which genius first placed egg and ham between 2 slices of bread, many point to London street vendors at the onset of the Industrial Revolution as being those very eggheads. These enterprising entrepreneurs would cram eggs and meats into bats, which are a kind of soft roll that originated in Scotland and not copies of the 1997 Halle Berry film, making an easily portable alternative to the traditional English breakfast. In turn, their factory-working customers, eager to live out their Dickensian dreams, would scarf down their meals while rushing on foot to work. Scrooge may have been less ornery if there'd been a Mickey D's on the corner.
I'm back.
While there's no record of the breakfast sandwich's arduous journey across the pond, it first showed up in the U.S. around the time of the American Civil War. At first, Americans didn't seem to think of these sandwiches as being specifically meant for breakfast. People ate them whenever they were hungry, no matter the time of day. And their portability made them the perfect camp food for wartime feasting. We kind of treat breakfast sandwiches the same way today. They're the perfect food for people who stay up all night and literal coyotes. Back in the 1800s, once the Civil War ended, these non-breakfast breakfast sandwiches found a new home among pioneers headed west. Soon, the noble breakfast sandwich had manifest destinied its way all across the nation. The first documented recipe for an actual breakfast sandwich, meaning one meant to be consumed in the morning, was published at the end of the 19th century. It was Maud C. Cook's 1897 cookbook, Breakfast, Dinner, and Supper, or What to Eat and How to Prepare It, that America's culinary future would be forever changed. In the book, Cook recommends placing chopped meat between slices of stale bread, smothering the ensuing sandwich in a milk, salt, and egg concoction, and then frying the whole thing up in a butter-filled pan. It didn't take long for others to publish their own unique takes on the breakfast sandwich, and it was already becoming an all-American classic by the start of the 1900s. Born in January of 1919, Herb Peterson grew up in Chicago, fought in World War II, and, in the 1960s, became the vice president of McDonald's Chicago-based advertising firm, Darcy Advertising. While there, Herb was credited with creating McDonald's first-ever national advertising slogan, where quality starts fresh every day. What's more, Herb was on the team that dreamed up Ronald McDonald, and the nightmares of small children have never been the same. With these early contributions to the company, McDonald's own Mayor McCheese, Ray Kroc, took a shine to Herb, and he soon encouraged Herb to open up his very own franchise location. According to legend, someone suggested Santa Barbara, on account of Herb's wife being named Barbara. And Herb ran with that incredibly arbitrary suggestion and relocated his whole family to beautiful sunny California. It's better than throwing darts at a map, or McMuffins at a map. Once there, Herb opened the world's 1,103rd McDonald's location. While this first restaurant was located in the then sleepy town of Goleta, California, Herb would go on to open 5 more locations all around the Santa Barbara area, including one on Santa Barbara's State Street. Even as a McDonald's franchisee, Herb continued to make a splash on the corporation's national operations. For instance, up until the mid-1960s, Kroc didn't allow women to work at any McDonald's restaurant locations. Herb wanted to change this policy, and he convinced Ray to allow his Santa Barbara location to be the first in the nation to get some women on staff. At long last, the fairer sex could get elbow-deep in French fry grease with the rest of them. Still, Herb had one last trick up his sleeve, and it was in 1971 at his Santa Barbara State Street location that he turned from fast food hero to fast food legend. Apparently, Herb caught wind that his State Street customers were dissatisfied with his restaurant's opening time. 11 a.m. just wasn't early enough for them. They wanted their McDonald's as bright and early as possible. The only problem? McDonald's didn't have any items other than hamburgers and French fries, which aren't typically considered breakfast items unless you're planning to attack your day. Jim Delegati, a McDonald's franchisee in Pittsburgh, most famous for his invention of the Big Mac, had gotten the go-ahead from Ray Kroc to sell donuts at his own McDonald's locations. Once you invent the Big Mac, you kind of get to do whatever you want. But the McDonald's Corporation hadn't spent any time developing breakfast items of their own. And so Herb, always the go-getter, took matters into his own hands. Herb Peterson wanted to recreate his own favorite breakfast food, Eggs Benedict, for his franchise customers. Luckily for him, he'd formed a close friendship with none other than TV icon Julia Child. And, according to some, she offered him consultation as he adapted Eggs Benedict for the fast food setting. Once he had a fully developed concept, Herb went to a local blacksmith and commissioned a Teflon-coated iron ring, ensuring that all of his eggs would cook to the exact same size as one another, the exact size of the English muffins they would eventually rest upon. And he and his son David spent a whole 6 months experimenting until they perfected their all-new invention. He then forged one egg ring to rule them all. The Petersons then called Ray Kroc to try it out. Kroc was initially resistant to the idea of changing up the McDonald's formula, but once they finally convinced him to stop by, Ray allegedly ate anywhere from 2 to 4 whole prototypes, depending on who you ask, in just one sitting. He then declared, "Oh my God, we have got to do this." And do this they did. When Herb Peterson took his brainchild to the McDonald's board of directors, it was an open-faced sandwich with a fried egg, a slice of American cheese, and a slice of Canadian bacon atop a buttered and toasted English muffin. The sandwich was an instant hit with Mickey D's executives, because it was an Egg McMuffin. Still, Herb's invention didn't yet have a proper name, a problem that would need to be solved before it ever hit storefronts. Enter Patty Turner, the wife of soon-to-be McDonald's CEO Fred Turner. It was Patty who coined the name Egg McMuffin, and in 1972, Herb's invention was rushed out to test markets. The fluffy little McMiracles sold at select locations for 63 cents a pop for 3 whole years, but they expanded nationally by the mid-1970s. Little did McDonald's know, they had just fired a tremendous opening salvo in the fast food breakfast wars. At the time, no major fast food chain had fully committed to selling breakfast, but McDonald's was all in on the Egg McMuffin. And after just a couple of years of McMuffin success, the company decided to expand its breakfast game even further, unveiling their first ever breakfast menu in 1977. This original menu featured hotcakes, scrambled eggs, sausage, hash browns, and danishes, with the Egg McMuffin front and center, like a breakfast quarterback. Just 4 years after the breakfast menu launched, breakfast items accounted for 18% of all McDonald's sales. And within 10 years, McDonald's breakfast had grown so popular that their sales then accounted for 25% of all restaurant breakfasts sold within the U.S. In other words, in 1987, a quarter of all breakfasts eaten outside the home were purchased from a McDonald's. America was stuffing McMuffins.
You're the one. Better watch that toast, it's poppin', burn to a crisp. Better rush, no time for stopping.
You're the one. No cup, but here's your drink. Tired of that breakfast hassle? There's a better way, don't you think?
Have breakfast at McDonald's instead.
You're the one. Relax and drink your juice. You've got the time to catch up on the news.
Enjoy our freshly scrambled eggs with pure pork sausage, hot cakes, and creamery butter, or an Egg McMuffin, McDonald's own original, very delicious breakfast sandwich. We serve you fast, so you can eat nice and slow.
You got the time, minutes to spare, 'cause McDonald's was on your way. Now you're ready to face the world. You had breakfast without delay at McDonald's. We do it all for you.
With the success of the McDonald's breakfast menu, it wasn't long before just about everyone got in on the action too. Just 2 years after McDonald's released their first full breakfast menu, Burger King, that regal copycat, started developing a breakfast menu all their own. But it was a task that proved easier said than done. While McDonald's griddles were perfectly adaptable to breakfast items, Burger King's flame broilers weren't exactly compatible with runny eggs. Consequently, that waxy smiling king had to spend 4 years trying out workarounds before the BK breakfast menu was ready to go. And in 1983, they unveiled to the world the Croissantwich, their own McMuffin competitor that replaced the McMuffin's English muffin with a croissant. Just 2 years later, Wendy's also threw its pigtails into the ring. In 1985, they too launched their very own breakfast menu, which most prominently featured fresh, made-to-order omelets. Wendy's founder Dave Thomas later admitted that this move was a mistake. Made-to-order omelets take a few minutes to cook, which is too slow for a fast food chain to maintain. Within just 9 months of their breakfast menu's launch, Wendy's became the first casualty of the breakfast wars. Omelets were 86th from most Wendy's locations, and the chain has repeatedly started and stopped breakfast menu campaigns in the years since. As recently as 2014, Taco Bell launched its very own breakfast menu competitor, which features breakfast burritos and an eggy take on the Crunchwrap Supreme. Other chains made less notable attempts at a breakfast menu, including Jack in the Box and Del Taco. While some have stuck, others have fallen into the breakfast fog of history, never to be seen again. Even with the rise of all this competition, today breakfast accounts for over 1/3 of McDonald's business. In fact, that clown with the upside-down frown sells so many breakfast sandwiches each year that, according to a 2015 study, the company accounts for 5% of all egg sales across the U.S., purchasing more than 2 billion eggs annually. While the Egg McMuffin still maintains its coveted front and center spot on the McDonald's breakfast roster, its success has paved the way for an assortment of other breakfast items. 1986 saw the creation of the McDonald's biscuit sandwich. 1991 introduced the breakfast burrito, which must have really annoyed Taco Bell. And 2003 saw the invention of the ever-luxurious McGriddle. McDonald's continues to serve each of these creations today, along with a variety of combinations and takes on each specific item. Still, there's nothing quite like Old Reliable. And as it turns out, the Egg McMuffin may have saved the Golden Arches from being melted down. In 2012, McDonald's had hit a period of stagnation that carried on for 13 consecutive months. They were no longer growing, and they needed to change things up if they wanted to keep their place at the top of the fast food world. So, in 2014, they did away with their 10:30 a.m. cutoff time for serving breakfast, announcing that customers could at long last buy Egg McMuffins any time of day, in perpetuity. The world rejoiced, and as a direct result, McDonald's saw its largest annual growth in nearly half a decade. Today, McDonald's remains #1 in fast food breakfast. That is, in every U.S. state but one. Oklahomans prefer Sonic's breakfast, with its toaster sandwiches and its variety of burritos, placing the Sooner State firmly on the wrong side of the breakfast wars. Hey, we get it. Sometimes you just gotta go fast. So what do you think? What's your favorite fast food breakfast? Let us know in the comments below, and while you're at it, check out some of these other videos from our Weird History Food.